We're just talking about how to penetrate luxury, how to go on more luxury listing appointments. I'm Michael LaFido, and I have Frank here with Vyral, and we're talking about the number one way you can do that is first, you got to build trust. Trust is important. And how do you build trust? Well, they're going to Google you. They're going to look you up. So content is king. Videos, tips for buyers, tips for sellers, market updates. The next thing that I just joining, want to go over for those that are just joining us is the first thing I would do if I were to move into a new market, Frank, to get more luxury listing appointments is I would work other agents listing open houses. So if I were to role play with you, Frank, the most listened to radio station that listing agents have, buyers agents have, others have, is What's in It for Me. The people that are watching this, watching the replay, all they care about is how am I gonna get
WFIM.
WIIFM, What's in It for Me. How is Frank and how is Michael going to teach me to get more luxury listing appointments? That's all they care about. And I know that coming into this, you know that coming into it. That's why we had our prep call. So sellers only care about that too. They don't care about your awards or you wrote a book. They care about benefits. How is it going to benefit them? So when you're creating video, tips for buyers, tips for sellers, market updates, when you're doing live streams, when you're going on listing appointments, they care about benefits. What are you going to do to, what keeps them awake at night? Why this agent versus another agent? How is Sandra going to get this home faster sold than Elizabeth? How is Elizabeth better than Sandra? They only care about results. And so benefits are key. So number one is I would work other agents' open houses. Now, if I were to role play with you, Frank, and you were a listing agent from my office. Now, some states you can do listing, you can work other agents' open houses outside your brokerage. I'm going to make the assumption you can't in your state because in Illinois you can't. So ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Frank, Michael LaFido from the office. How you doing?
Oh, you're here. You're in my brokerage. Good. What?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
want?
yeah. I saw you at last year's 4th of July party. It's been a while.
Oh yeah, I remember you, Mike. How you
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
man?
Hey, Frank, you got some really amazing inventory, and I see that you have a couple that have been on the market for a while. And first off, I want to make this a win-win, but I wanted to see if maybe, I don't know if the sellers are on you about why the home isn't selling. Maybe your listing agreement's coming up. Maybe they're, calling you all the time saying, well, you should be doing this. I don't know. Maybe they're not doing that, but I want to make this a win-win. And, I'm hungry. I'm aggressive. I want to help you. And I would love to host an open house at one of your listings. And I thought I'd start with you before I called Sandra from the office. But bottom line is you got some amazing properties. And I want to make this a no-brainer for you, Frank, where if I did some pre-marketing, I marketed the home for you. If somebody comes in unrepresented, I'll give you a referral fee should I represent them. So even if the home doesn't sell and I sell that buyer a home in 3 months, 9 months down the road, like these could be little bank deposits, referral fees for you. Of course, I want to sell your home, but there's going to be some people that don't like it for whatever reason. If I build rapport with them and I go drive them around for 3 months, I'd be happy to pay a referral fee. So again, would you be open to maybe allowing someone like myself to host open houses, maybe get the seller off your rear end and
Yeah, I've been trying to get my agents on my team to do them, but they won't do them. I don't want to sit there and open house all weekend. You really want to do that?
I'd love to. I'd love to do
Yeah.
them every weekend. Give me 2 or 3 if you
Look,
want.
Mike, as long as I can keep the relationship with the seller, you're welcome to do whatever you want.
I'll secure the property. I'll market it. Now it's up to you. I love walking through the home with the listing agent, but if you're so busy, don't worry about it. But if you want to meet me at the property, I'm willing to do that too.
Yeah, sounds great.
All
Like
right. So
you want to go do a whole open house and blow this thing up, that's fine. Just let me keep the relationship with the
yep.
seller.
So that's exactly what we're talking about here. So Frank, you brought up a good point here. And so now Frank what we're talking about right now, guys, is we're talking about cold opportunities. Cold opportunities. So cold opportunities are what you see on the screen right now. Those could be canceled and expireds. Those be FSBOs. Frank asked me to give you guys ways to get luxury listing appointments immediately. Those could be canceled and expireds, which, by the way, I think is low-hanging fruit. Frank, most agents, they go to a MAPS call. Excuse me, they go to what do you call it? Not MAPS. A bold conference. They go to bold, they're fired up, they make 80 calls, and then they lose momentum, right? So cancel and expireds are one thing, for sale by owners are one thing, but I want to talk to you about number 4 right now. This is what I'm talking about. Host other agents' open houses. That's what we're talking about right here, Frank. Number 4. This is a cold opportunity. Okay, because people don't know me, like me, and trust me that come through those open houses, because those are cold relationships or cold opportunities. But guess what I'm doing, Frank? You just gave me the green light to do the open house. Now I'm not going to just hope that people walk through the open house. I'm moving on to number 5 right now. Now I'm going to knock on neighbors' doors of those open houses, Frank, because guess what?
Yeah,
If
you've secured the credibility now because you can link yourself to the house.
Not only that, but I'm going to knock on your door, and if you're the neighbor, I'm going to say, "How you doing? My name is Michael LaFido. I'm hosting the open house down the road on Saturday." The reason I'm knocking on your door is 2 reasons. One, to let you know, don't be alarmed on Saturday when you see 6 or 8 or 10 cars. But the second reason is, wouldn't it be nice to pick your next neighbor? If you know somebody that loves these schools, love these areas, please send them through. It's going to be from 1 to 3 on Saturday. But actually, the third reason I want to invite you, because I'm going to probably have 8 to 10 to 15 people come through those open houses. Guess what? For whatever reason, 90% of them that are qualified, that are actually looking to buy something in the next 30 days, for whatever reason, they don't like the floor plan, they don't like what's behind them. They might love this area and these schools. So if you or another neighbor is thinking about selling, I'm going to have a database of qualified buyers that are looking this weekend. Here's my card. Keep me in mind. Boom. That's what we call win-win there, Frank. So that's number 5. Okay. So this is what I really want to focus on right now in today's call. Is we have cold listing appointment opportunities, and then the opposite of cold listing opportunities are warm. So I'm going to cover both, but the first that I wanted to cover today is cold. These are have-not mets, people that don't know you, like you, or trust you yet. Those are cold opportunities or cold relationships. So again, if you're trying to get luxury listing appointments or luxury buyer appointments, just listings and buyers of all price points, here are 7 nuggets: cancel and expireds, for sale by owners, neighbors of your listings if you currently have a listing, host other agents' open houses, neighbors of those open houses. This is a low-hanging fruit right here, Frank. Let me ask you, because I know you and I speak the same language. Dan Kennedy, he talked about an ironclad cage around your customer database. Remember those from the days back in
Oh,
the
yeah.
day? Okay, so Frank, I have Sandra in here. She's in my book. She's chapter 21. I'm going to be bringing her on here in a little bit. But if Sandra brought a buyer to my listing, okay, is there an iron cage around that client of hers for life? In other words, 123 Main Street, I was the listing agent, Sandra represented the buyer. After the closing, whether it be a month, 6 months, a year, 3 years, can I send a mailer to that owner of that home, or is that Sandra's client for life?
Well, I would adopt them.
Right. Those are orphan clients. Those are orphan opportunities. Yeah, the
Yeah.
National Association of Realtors does all these types of polls, right? And most buyers and sellers will say, especially buyers, they say, I have a decent relationship with my agent. About 80% say they would use their agent again, but less than 20% do, Frank. Because so a lot of agents assume, well, Sandra's client is going to be loyal to life, so I'm not going to send her something. But number 6 on the screen is buyers of your listings. So I've had a lot of sales of this where I'm sending them a marketing piece saying, hey, I was the agent that sold your home. I've been it numerous times. I've showed it numerous times. If you're curious to see what it's worth today, or you're thinking about selling, keep me in mind, because nobody knows your home better than I do. I sold it before. That's your message. That's number 6. That's low hanging fruit. Nobody's doing this consistently. And number 7 is your farm. So
So
I
hang on,
want,
Michael, before you go on to farm, you know this stuff really well. Let me see if I could step back just a minute
please,
and clarify some of the key nuggets of gold that you shared with the
a
audience. May
lot of
I?
gold here.
All right, hang on. So you want luxury listing appointments. Depending upon your state, get a list of all the luxury listings. And when do you think luxury starts and stops in a market, Mike? At
That's
what
a
price
great
point?
question. Yeah. So luxury is market specific. So we define a luxury home as a home that is 3 times the average sale price for that market. So some of these agents serve
Okay,
several markets.
I
So
like that.
3x,
Okay,
3x.
3x. All right. And then depending upon your state, you may only be able to do this with the ones that are currently listed at your brokerage. But it could be, depending upon your state, it could be all of them. And you call that agent up and you run that script with tact to offer to hold an open house at their amazing listing. And hopefully the agent says yes. Right, Mike?
Hopefully say yes. And for every no, you're called the next one.
Call the next one.
You see what I did with you, by the way? I said I thought I'd start with you before I called Sandra. That's called what we call the takeaway close. So you already know that I have a plan B. So if you say no, you're going to lose out on referral fees to Sandra.
So now you go to all the neighbors and you go knock on their door or approach them, whatever media you want to use, saying, I'm holding an open house down the street at your neighbor, which gives you instant credibility and hopefully starts a conversation to ask permission with that individual to stay in touch by here's my card or what's your contact information so I can keep you informed of what's going on with real estate. And you leverage the open house at someone else's listing as your credibility into that neighborhood to approach other homeowners to start conversations cold. Right, Mike?
That's exactly right.
Perfect. Great. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that is how do you build a permission-based list of luxury homeowners who want to stay in touch with you about possibly selling their home at some point in the future? Do an open house at someone else's listing, and then go talk to all the homeowners in the neighborhood and ask if you stay in touch about what's going on with home prices, among other things.
Amongst other things. And so even before that, you can go to other agents' open houses and get their permission. So if agents in your market do what they call caravans or broker tours, you can do that during the week. Or if Sandra's hosting an open house on a Sunday, and I don't know Sandra, I could say, hey, Sandra, I'm go build rapport with Sandra if you want to work her open houses, or maybe get Sandra's permission to shoot some video. Now, not even on here is all the content you can create from somebody's others open houses or their listings with their permission. Again, it's all about permission. Do not assume. I'm not going to just shoot videos and take photos. I'm going to get Frank's permission if you're the listing agent. So this is what I call cold opportunities. Have not mets, people that don't know you yet, like you yet, trust you yet. So it's really about relationships, Frank. When I knocked on your door, people don't care how much I know till they know I care. So it's about being authentic, being in the moment, don't being salesy, don't being too pushy, but just being kind of laissez-faire about it. So that's a cold opportunity. The opposite of cold is what I would call warm opportunities, right? So your warm opportunities, we all know about these, right? These are the Brian Buffinis of the world and of the have mets, right? So referring sources, this could be your painter, your electrician, your title company, people that refer you business. Of course, your past raving fan clients, your sphere of influence, okay, and some others. So this is really the slide I wanted to talk to you about right here. And this is about the OPP, leveraging other people's property. So that would be the number one thing that I would recommend to people on here. Frank, I have an agent that's 20 years old on my team. He's 20 years old. He's a medical student at the University of Illinois. Just got licensed. Guess what his first deal is going to be? $1,850,000 because it's my listing. He hosted an open house. Buyer came in up unrepresented, and voila, his first check after splits is going to be whatever, $30,000, $40,000. And I taught him how to do that. He's going to make more than 70% of agents out there from his first deal as a 20-year-old. He can't even buy me a Coors Light to go celebrate.
It's good. It's a good story.
So
Next year you can.
yeah. So anyway, so that's the one big thing that I wanted to cover. So again, these are things that agents can do, some golden nuggets of luxury real estate. Again, your past clients, you got to love on them, right? Buffini talks about the whatever 30 touches or whatever. You got to call them. You got to stop by. You got to text them. You got to say hello to them. Don't make assumptions that because they were a former client of mine, they're going to be loyal to you. There's no ironclad cage around them. You know what they say about assuming. Okay, so don't do that. So that's your past clients. We talked about neighbors of your listings. I talked about buyers of your listings. Your farm is huge. Who are you touching consistently? Okay, there's a term called repetitive engagement, Frank. Repetitive engagement. Okay, that's when someone is buying a home, selling a home, and you're in that discussion because, man, they see you all over the place, whether it be print, digital, around town, on billboards, at the grocery store, repetitive engagement. Okay, your sphere of influence doesn't have to be anybody that That could be somebody that's never bought with you, never sold with you. Matter of fact, they might not buy and sell with you, but they refer business to you because maybe their wife's got a girlfriend that's in real estate, so they they're not going to buy or sell with with anybody else than the wife's girlfriend, but they like you and trust you more. Okay, so that's really important. And I talked about the WIIFM earlier, Frank. This is on the screen right now. This is the most important radio station that buyers listen to and sellers listen to. And this is a key nugget that when you walk away from today's training, if you understand this concept, that all that the consumer really cares about is what are you going to do to save them time, aggravation, make more money, and have less turbulence when they're buying a home or less turbulence when selling a home, then you're the right person for the job. And so that's really important. Now I want to pause and see if anybody's got any questions, Frank, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah. So let's just recap. I'm trying to be the listener's advocate here for you, Mike. So far, what we've discussed is if you're going to go after listings, you have to build the self-confidence that you can speak to that market. And Mike has help for you on that. Then you want to break into that market, and there's many ways to do it. Mike shared the entire slide of how you could break into luxury market to get there, but go hold an open house with someone else. And then market the fact that you're holding that open house to all the neighbors. That was the main strategy among other strategies Michael shared.
That's accurate. So again, when you're hosting these open houses, you're building rapport with people. So I would never ask anybody on this training to not to do anything that I still don't do. I mean, I last weekend hosted an open house at a 3.6, the week before 4.3. Do I like potentially missing some stuff from my family on a Saturday or Sunday? Not particularly, but right now there's a shortage of inventory in my market. And buyers, I want to build rapport with buyers. I have pocket listings, I have private listings. And so literally I have a handful of $4 million buyers that have come through the open house. It's a numbers game. It's always a numbers game. But if I get for every 10, if I can get one out of those 10, hello, that's a potential $100,000 paycheck for me. And so it's a numbers game for me. Build rapport, rapport, rapport. Guess what happened on my $4 million listing? I have basically mystery seller shoppers, Frank. So I had somebody come in recently and I build rapport with them. Her husband was the builder of her home. She later says, we're not really looking to buy right now, but we do want to sell our $4 million home. And so guess what? I have a pocket listing at $4 million that I can go to anybody that didn't like my $4 million home. I can bring them to this other home. So these are all about opportunities. Okay. I had somebody, never happened to me again. I had somebody come through my $3 million listing last week. We build rapport. He gives me a book. This guy's in the mortgage business, owns a big company. You just don't know. It's all about relationships and building relationships. Real estate is all about relationships. I call them cold opportunities and warm opportunities, but it's really relationships. So to review, we're talking about luxury listing appointments. You got two options. Your cold relationships or cold opportunities, people that don't know you, like you, and trust you. And the flip side is warm opportunities, people that know you, like you, trust you. Those are have-mets versus have-not-mets. Okay, that's really important. In a minute, I'm going to be bringing on some co-authors from the book, but I want to cover with you, I told you earlier that one of the questions, the number one question for all 26 chapters for this book, and I'm going to give everybody on this training an opportunity to get the book for free. You're just going to pay shipping and handling. Is the number one question we asked everybody is, and Sandra, who's on here from Fort Lauderdale, she answered this, and Rick from Colorado answered this, is tell us about your first luxury sale. How did they find out about you, and vice versa? So that's number one. Then I gave each of them, as well as everybody else, 16 questions. But Frank, getting back to the point I want to make, the number one thing that most people said is trust. That is the number one recommendation that my contributors in this book had, is you need to build trust. And how do you build trust with someone you meet? That's one thing, Frank. But how do you build trust with people that you haven't met? So Frank, I'm going to use you as an example. If you're a listing agent and I'm thinking about interviewing you, you can only build trust with me firsthand if I'm talking to you. But what about before I even call you or text you or email you. I'm Googling you. I'm looking you up. I'm trying to determine if I even want to reach out to you. And so that's why your service at Vyral is huge, because people are making a determination on trust before they even reach out. Okay. So that's by having a huge digital footprint, guys. I can't stress this enough. A huge digital footprint. A digital footprint is not just your website. It's LinkedIn, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's all the above. And well, you might say, I'm not on LinkedIn. I don't see a lot of value in LinkedIn. Well, when you're talking high net worth individuals, they do. And so if they go to your LinkedIn and you got your glamour shots from 1998 and you got a full head of hair, and they walk past you at the supermarket and you're bald and you haven't updated anything, that isn't a good look. Okay.
Yeah.
So right, Frank, you're in the
Yeah.
business. You see
I
it all
am.
the time. I mean, Frank, I'm one of Frank's clients. I send him videos. They do not have to get on and hold my hand and give me scripts. I'm like the ideal client from one standpoint, that I do the videos and I tell them what to edit. But you have some clients where you're literally holding their hand because,
Crawl, walk, run
right,
on
because of
publishing
fear,
content.
limiting beliefs, they don't like the way they look, they got one nostril bigger than the other, whatever, right?
Sure.
So for those that are watching, just do it. It's the 80-20 principle. They call it Pareto's principle. 80% of agents are not consistently doing video. They're not posting them on all accounts. They don't have a YouTube channel that's updated. 80-20. Now you might be saying, yeah, but 20% are. And by the way, it's less than that, but let's just say it's 20. I'd say it's 10%. But the limiting belief, the scarcity says, well, it's too late. It's not too late.
So let's step back here again. So Rick, Sandra, thanks for being here. Mike's going to get to you here in a second. I appreciate you guys hanging out. All right. Um, we discussed with the audience of the 3 things you do to consistently schedule listing appointments with affluent homeowners. You went through some strategies to build the list, cold and warm with like past clients. And now what you're transitioning to is, now that you have this list, you have a way to start a relationship and get permission of an existing relationship to stay in touch. You start publishing. And when you start publishing content, you send it out to people to nurture, to them to stay in touch and to, articulate your competence among marketing, listing, expensive listings. But also that same content that goes out to the list, people use it because they research you online. So maybe let's talk a little more about that, Mike. Like, okay, I'm talking to all these affluent homeowners now. I'm beyond my limiting beliefs. I'm okay with talking to rich people, wealthy people. I got a couple open houses with other brokers, and all these like very affluent homeowners are like kind of give me their contact information, saying I send them my stuff. Talk about that. It doesn't have to be necessarily viral, but
Yeah.
how do you position yourself as the expert?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. Uh, go to where the money is, right? So that's important too. Where are you networking? So to penetrate the circle of trust of high net worth individuals, you might have to do it indirectly. Indirectly are other business owners that have established relationships. So I tell people all the time, join the Chamber of Commerce, but join the Chamber of Commerce that services the clientele you want. So I live in Wheaton, Illinois. I joined Hinsdale's Chamber of Commerce. There's more $1 million sales year in and year out in Hinsdale. It was a 35-minute drive. But I was getting in with the business owners of Hinsdale, Illinois, and I was building value to them. I believe, Frank, the best way to get a referral is give referrals. Be a valuable resource for them. And then they're going to, what's in it for them? And they're going to want to reciprocate that. So I would recommend you get in with other business owners, because they have many relationships. And if they show up differently, Frank, I'd show up on my Chamber of Commerce meetings. You've seen me bring these. I got this idea from Dan Kennedy and a 2-inch monitor. I have a 10-inch monitor. I go on my listing appointments and I go to my networking events with my video book. And I'll say, hey, they say, well, what do you do? Well, actually, I'm a luxury specialist, and we put together lifestyle marketing, print marketing. We do things that competition isn't. On this video, I shot from a helicopter. In this video, I brought in $2.5 million worth of vehicles. In this video, I did this. And they're like, holy cow, this guy is totally different. So the other point I want to make, and I'm not hopefully I answered your question, is show up differently, be consistent. I think low hanging fruit is Chamber of Commerce's and going to people that already have relationships, going to charity events, golf outings, golf clubs, coffee and chrome events. People that have these exotic cars, they have millions of dollars in houses. Okay, so build relationships with people that are well connected. That's number one. Number two, though, is when you actually go on the listing appointment, Frank, I want to share a couple nuggets on best conversion strategies. Okay, is show up differently. Okay, if if Sandra's in my office, I might bring a female in my office. If I'm a young agent, I bring an older agent. I have an agent joining my team. She's 19 years old, and I'm going to bring her on appointments. Now I'm going to tell her, shut up, don't say anything, nod, take notes, but don't screw this up. I'm kidding around. I wouldn't say that to her, but subconsciously the seller's saying, oh, she's younger. She brings a different demographic. She might bring TikTok or video to the table. So show up differently than your competition, but the money is in the follow-up. Okay. The money's in the follow-up. So if you say you're going to do something, whether it be a handwritten note, a gift, something, don't show up like everybody else, and the money's in the follow-up. So I want to, kind of make sure I cover those points, Frank.
Okay, got it. We talked about how to build the list, and another way to build that list beyond open houses and everything else you shared is going to other businesses that sell to the affluent. Give me a couple of examples.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be real estate related, right? So financial advisors, CPA, divorce attorneys, those are divorce attorneys are non-directly, but usually they have to sell the house, which is the biggest asset, right? So title companies directly related, stagers, inspectors, painters, like car dealerships, right? So win-win. My most popular videos got almost 300,000 views. I brought in $2.5 million worth of vehicle. But I said to him, listen, I'm going to leave your dealership plate in the videos. The opening scene, I'm going to be driving the car in, and your dealership plate will be front and center, and I'll tag you and everything. But I'll also ask you that once I do this video, you post it, make it a win-win, and say, hey, take a look at one of our vehicles in here. And so make it a win-win. So always talk in forms of win-win. Just like when we hypothetically role played and you were the listing agent, I started out and I addressed win-win.
Michael, you know so much about this stuff. How many years have you thought about this?
I've been doing this for 24 years. I've been teaching this for years. I was a full-time high school gym teacher and a part-time real estate agent. And my first product that I created, Frank, when I met you, was called the Ultimate Listing Blueprint. More leads, more listings, more closings. I had a top luxury agent who discounted her fee. She took my course. She said, I want you to help me because I'm leaving money on the table. I should be charging a premium, but I'm competing by discounting. So I worked on her and I realized luxury needed help. So I made the shift and I immersed myself in Hinsdale, Illinois. I immersed myself in the Chamber of Commerce. I got a 19 on my ACT. I didn't come from money. I didn't come from the East Coast or the West Coast. I'm not one of these $1 million agents that's not relatable. I'm the first to go to college. If I can do it, all of your listeners can do it, Frank.
That's cool, Michael. Thanks for sharing that.
So before I bring on Sandra and Rick, who are a couple of my co-authors, chapters, I got chapters 14 with Rick and 21 with Sandra. Before I bring them on, I got something for all your listeners. You asked earlier, the slide deck wasn't working. So I'm going to share my screen. I got 2 free items for everybody. Thank you for listening. And those of you that just joined or watching, the first one is a little cheat sheet. It's if you will, a blueprint. And this is the 7 secrets to break into luxury on a $0 budget. I mentioned to you earlier, Frank, I realize some people they don't have a big marketing budget. So if you guys go to luxurylistingblueprint.com or scan the QR code, I want to give you guys this blueprint. Frank asked earlier, how many years have I been doing this? I have a lot of knowledge. I believe in meat and potatoes. I'm not giving you guys fluff today. I'm not giving you fluff in this. So go to luxurylistingblueprint.com. I'll leave this up there for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the last slide I'm going to share before my contact information, before I bring in Sandra and Rick, and we're going to talk about luxury, is my book. I'm going to give you guys my book. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's $30 plus shipping and handling. I'm going to give it to you for free. Just leave your information and we'll leave your contact information. And then all you guys will do is pay shipping and handling. This has been a #1 bestseller already, and it released less than a month ago. Okay. Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. And the last slide I want to share with you is here are some of the people in the book, and I'm going to bring a couple of them on. I have Julie Foppel, founder of Realm, Elena Cardone, her husband's a billionaire, Grant Cardone, 10X, Jack Cotton, this guy is out of Cape Cod, been in it 50 years. I have some rock star agents in this book. Again, if you want to check out the book's website, you can go to Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. And then my contact information, and I'm going to bring on Sandra and Rick. Sandra and Rick. And Frank, if you have any questions, please ask them, but we're going to bring them on. You can see them here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I want to tell everybody a little bit about these guys. Sandra is with Keller Williams. And by the way, this book is brand agnostic. I have over 13 brokerages represented. I don't care if you're with a big firm, if you're an independent. This is 300 pages of pure gold. And this is not me saying it. These guys have read it. And so Rick is out of Colorado. Sandra is out of Florida. Rick is chapter 14. This guy is an AI, artificial intelligence expert. Sandra is chapter 21, and I might be having Frank Azami, who's chapter 3, jumping on any minute as well. So if Elizabeth and Frank, if you see them jump in, if they're in the
Right.
waiting room, just let them in.
Will
So
do.
welcome, Rick. Welcome, Sandra. I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I'm sure Frank will have some questions. Frank has never met either one of these people, right, Frank?
Hi.
So
First
this is
time.
not rehearsed. This is authentic, and that's what you guys want. And that's my first rule of thumb for everybody on here is be you. Now, Matt Nagy was the former head coach of the Chicago Bears. He was a terrible head coach. He's the offensive coordinator for the world champion, Super Bowl champ, Kansas City Chiefs. But on his big play card sheet, when he was on the sideline, it said, be you. And so that's what I'm telling you guys. There's so many fake agents out there that want to be $1 million agent. They want to be Mauricio, who's a friend of mine. They want to be one of these other $1 million agents. I'm telling you, be you. People can read right through if you're fake. Now, yes, in your videos, maybe be a little bit more enthusiastic so you're not doing videos and you don't sound methodical, but also don't be fake. Be you. That's rule #1. Okay. Now, Mauricio and the agency's rule #1 is don't be an a-hole, but that's another issue. I'm just saying be you. That's rule #1. So I have Rick on here, and Rick, you can unmute yourself now. And I have Sandra on here. Both are in my book. And through this whole experience, I guess I want to first start out with you guys. What was your biggest takeaway? And by the way, did we prep for this call?
Not at all.
Okay. And I want authenticity, and that's why we don't prep for it. Okay. So Rick and Sandra, I want to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from getting to know maybe other co-authors, or biggest takeaway from just being in this book and going through this exercise of me asking you, tell us about your first luxury sale? That's question 1. Then I gave you guys 16 questions and said, Rick and Sandra, tell us the 6 you're most comfortable answering. And then on top of it, each chapter ends with the bonus section, which are tips for consumers. We have over 200 tips for homeowners that are thinking about selling from 26 rockstar agents. And we have over 100 tips for buyers. What should they look for in an agent before they sign a buyer agency agreement? What was the biggest takeaway? I'll start with you, Sandra, then we'll go to Rick. Your biggest takeaway being included in this book that you think the audience will listen to. They are on here because they want luxury listing appointments. So maybe focus more on your biggest takeaway as an agent and what you think their biggest takeaway as an agent that wants more luxury listing appointments.
Sure. So I think that it really had me walking down memory lane and thinking about the process and like, where did I start and where am I now? And how did I get here? So I think that, people think that we just woke up one day and we started doing luxury real estate. And that's generally not the case. I mean, there's probably a few people that actually happens, but for most of us, I think we probably start somewhere else. And I think it's like you said, Mike, it's a mindset. Are we going to make that leap or are we not? And for me, I know I used to always laugh. I would sell one luxury property a year and I'd have like a little party in my head every year. I'd be like, that's it. That's the one. Woohoo. And I would go around and I would tell people, yep, this is the one. And I'd really kind of make it fun. But at one point I said, well, why am I only doing one? Why only one? Why not 20? Why not 30 a year? And last year we did 45. So I think that it really made, doing this whole process with the book really made me think back over that, the journey that I've been on, and the journey that I used to do only one a year, until I made a conscious effort and I said, I am going to be luxury.
I am. I mean, speak it
I
into
am.
existence, right, Frank? We talk about that all the time, right? And one of my speaking coaches was a guy named James Malinchek out of Vegas, and he would correct people when he would call on him and say, "I'd like to," or "I hope." He's like, "No, I will. I'm going to." Like speaking in a past tense, not future tense. Someday, no, not someday. Why not you? Why not now? Like the Chicago Cubs 2016. This is our year. This is your year. Guys, we have the beauty of being every day we live in the present. It's a present, right? So even if you're first, as we're doing this, filming this in June, even if everything up until June 1st has been a train wreck of a year, we have two choices. You're going to continue to let it be a train wreck every year, or you're going to say, that's enough. I've had enough of it. So Sandra, thank you for that. Rick, what about you? Again, being mindful of the audience, or hoping to learn about luxury and luxury listing appointments. What was something that you personally gained out of this? And what do you think one thing they'll gain out of the book?
Sure. And thanks for inviting us on, Michael and Frank. And just everything that I've heard from this conversation has been so actionable. I want to go back and listen to the first part that I missed, and really immerse myself, because you've just been delivering really solid gold here. But for me, I remember my, kind of like Sandra said, going down memory lane, my first luxury listing, I just decided that year, I'm tired of not selling over 1 million. And I woke up one day, I said, I'm going to sell over 1 million this year. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to do everything I can to be there. And so when you look at your network,
when you say over 1 million, are you talking 1 million in volume or $1 million listings?
$1 million listing.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
$1 million listing. So
$1 million listing. So that is, if you were to ask, and let me just make this point, because Frank asked me earlier, how do I define luxury? Now, Frank, if you were to ask, the most general common answer would be $1 million plus. Like, and Rick's gone through our course and we work hand in hand. But if you're in Kokomo, Indiana, where the average sale price is 100,000, they don't have $1 million homes, but they have 100,000 times 3, which is bucket 4 on the screen. So they have $300,000 homes. So if you guys are watching this and you say, well, it's real easy, I'm not in South Florida like Sandra, I'm in Davenport, Iowa. Well, luxury is all relative. Don't beat yourself up. Don't compare yourself to Beverly Hills agents and the Hamptons. Don't do that. It's not fair to you. Look at the screen. Luxury is bucket 4. And I believe every market, it starts with bucket 2. You got to figure out what your average price point is. It could be 90,000, 100 grand. And then bucket 3 is high end, bucket 4 is luxury, and then bucket 5 is ultra luxury. So if you're watching this, Frank, I call it the evolution of a real estate agent. Most agents, they get their license and they work with renters and eventually entry-level buyers and sellers. Then they might work average price point. Some hit high end in their market. Very rarely do anybody hit bucket 4 or luxury, and very top 1% only will ever hit bucket 5. So my goal for people that go through my trainings, Frank, is to diversify your portfolio. Don't quit bucket 1 and 2 if that pays the bills, but challenge yourself to bucket 3, 4, and 5. And that's my goal with our book. That's our goal with our own podcast, is to help agents increase their average sale price and work smarter, not harder. And I want to go back to you, Rick.
Thanks. So I guess I love the bucket analogy, because at the time, selling over $1 million was bucket 4. Now the market's evolved, so now over $1 million is bucket 3. But at the time, that was bucket 4, and I was shooting right to go from 2 to 4. And so I just kind of woke up one day and said, "This is the year I'm going to sell bucket 4 over $1 million in Denver." And I just started putting myself in the rooms where I could meet the people. I started putting myself in the mindset of where I could put myself mentally, get prepared for that. I started getting skilled up so that I could serve that client when I got them. And they say your network is your net worth. So I started networking differently. I started trying to put myself in the room with the people that had the homes that I wanted to sell. And that really, you don't have to belong to country clubs. I didn't have $25,000 to join something, or, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to spend it wisely and put yourself in places. Even if you're going to events, you don't have to buy drinks there. Save your money, right? If you're broke, I've done a lot broke, trying to climb the ladder. So just put yourself in the room, however you can put yourself in the room. And if you have to volunteer at the organization, meet the people who are running the nonprofit, volunteer at the nonprofit, because now you're meeting the board members. Now you're actually rubbing shoulders with other volunteers. So guess what? Other volunteers could be high net worth individuals who are just giving back to the community. So a lot of kind of how I broke in at first was volunteering with an organization that had a lot of high-end net worth people, and I volunteered alongside them, provided enough value to the charity that other people started saying, hey, if he's busting his hump for the charity, I bet he busts his hump in his real job. Michael?
That's a great point. Simple yes or no question. Sandra, is selling luxury, again, I help everybody, renters, buyers. Now, I personally might not, it might be a team member. We had a $17,000 listing last year. I didn't want to say no. I'm not above anybody else. Now, it might be a team member that does it, but for you personally, you have more fun showing these McMansions than vans down by the river? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's number 7 on this next slide. Is it's more fun. Like these are the benefits of selling high-end homes: potentially higher paychecks, more profitable, better ROI. Frank, you know of ROI. What's ROI?
Well, hopefully it's return on investment.
Correct, but you see how I have a 2 next to the I? That's squared. There's 2 ROIs. The second is return on impression. If I do a video, a live stream at your listing, and it's a mansion, Frank, and I'm going to get more clicks, more likes, more shares than that entry-level home. I'm not saying it's right, but in the TikTok and Instagram world, if you're a good-looking female, you have a nice car or a mansion, you're going to get more clicks and likes than entry-level homes or guys or anything else. That's just the world we're in. So instead of be mad at it, embrace it. So that's what ROI is: return on investment and return on impression. So again, the misconceptions, Frank, and all of us had these, by the way, is you got to be a top producing agent or a veteran before you sell luxury. You got to be wealthy before you sell in those communities. You got to live in a big home or drive that nice car. Or, you know what? I can't compete against, I just got a $3.5 million listing against the #1 agent in Illinois. I cherish that. So my question is, why not you? Roger Bannister, he passed away, literally passed away about 6 years ago this past month, okay? And guess what? He was the first to run the mile under 4 minutes. And guess what? Within 2 years, 37 others did it. Now, Frank, I want to be cognizant of your time and your audience time, and I want to open it up for Q&A. We told everybody it would be an hour. We have 5 minutes left. If there's no questions, then I'll continue with Sandra and Rick, or you can ask them a question, Frank, or your audience can.
Renee asks, I call on canceled and expired leads. How would you approach these owners, and how would you encourage them to list now and not wait until after summer?
So number 1 is I would almost address the elephant in the room, like hotels.com. He calls that Captain Obvious. So if you were the seller, I would say, hey, Frank, I know you're getting bombarded by agents that are promising you the world. Listen, I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. I've been doing this X amount of years. I would just appreciate a couple minutes of your time. So would you be open to a quick call? I'm not even asking you for a meeting, but do I have your permission just to get 2 minutes of your time? So I would ask permission of your time, and I would address the elephant in the room. So that's number 1. Keep in mind, WIIFM, what's in it for them? All they care about is what are you going to do to get their home sold? So I like addressing elephants in the room. No long contracts. You can get out of my contract. I'm going to give you a list of other people that were in your same situation that sold the home. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, Frank, is I'm a big believer in the power of demonstration. So results matter. Frank, would you agree that results matter?
Of course, Mike.
So just give me the opportunity. So results matter. So when I went on a listing appointment, my first book that I wrote, it's actually right here. Okay. It was not a bestseller, but it's kind of what I'm known for besides our designation. The house that's on the cover of this book, Frank, it was Architectural Homes, Architectural Digest, most beautiful home for sale. Guess what? It was $12 million listing appointment. You know what he asked me? He asked me, why haven't you shown my home? And why should I go with you over the competition? I told him I'm by far going to be probably not the most the cheapest agent to interview. I'm probably going to be the most expensive. But if you want the local agent, I'm not your guy. If you want somebody that's outside the box, that's creative, then interview me. And I'll tell you, you're not going to be disappointed. But if you want the local agent, part-time Patty, or traditional Tammy, I'm not them. Okay. But if you want outside the box marketer, give me the opportunity. You're not going to regret it. I've run 11 marathons. I got a football scholarship and I wasn't smart. I did it because of my work ethic. You give me that same opportunity, Frank, you're not going to be let down. So people want somebody that's aggressive, that's excited. They don't want negative Nancy. They don't want, boring Ben. Okay. Be aggressive,
Boring,
be
Ben.
outside, boring Ben, right? Okay. And so I say this kind of stuff in my appointments. I'm like, there's a lot of traditional Tammys and traditional Tims. You want to hire marketer Mike or marketer Martha. Okay. So I always use names that start with the same letter and have fun with it. So be you, have fun. And so cancel and expireds, everybody else is calling on them. And so I would say lower hanging fruit is to do mailers, Frank, because they might get 50 calls from prospecting companies from the Philippines and everybody else, but they get 5 to 10 mailers. And out of those 5 to 10 mailers, most suck. Most don't send multiple mailers. Frank, I sent this silver platter in the mail to multi-million-dollar listing appointments with bank bags and shredded money because I know what a mailer's worth, right? Dan Kennedy,
Yeah.
bulky mail. And so I would say when everybody's calling, I would show up differently. I would do hand addressed. I would send bulky mail and my marketing piece would be tied in. Why the heck is Michael sending you a silver platter? Because if you want expedited sale on a silver platter VIP service, I'm the right guy for you. I'd send aspirin. I'd send shredded money. I'd send bank bags. I know what a sale is worth to me, and I would cheerfully outspend my competition.
1 minute left. Let's wrap it up, Mike.
Hey, guys, why not you? I'm going to leave it with you. What are you? Frank said garbage in, garbage out. It's garbage in, garbage stays. So what are you doing to work on your mindset? Because if you don't believe you can, you can't. So my recommendation to you guys is think outside the box. Be aggressive. Go talk to other agents and work through open houses. You'll be more confident. You show me somebody that's more confident, you'll do it more consistently. You need more at bats. More at bats is more opportunities, more conversations. You have cold opportunities and more opportunities. You have not mets, have mets. You want a combination of both, but whatever you do, a body in motion stays in motion. Be consistent. It's not going to happen overnight. There's no easy button. My name is Michael LaFido. It's been a pleasure to have Rick Jansen out of Colorado, Sandra out of Fort Lauderdale. Again, I love to give you a copy of our book, absolutely free. Just go to freeluxurybook.com. Check us out. You'll find me online. And I'm a client of Frank's, and I have been. Frank, I'd like you or Elizabeth to get back to me. I'd like to know what my first day as a paying client of yours is, because I'm still a paying client.
I think I wrote in the Facebook post that we switched billing systems, so I don't know. It's been so long.
I'm going to have to dig.
So thank you.
I can tell you, if you go to the Wayback Machine, you go to my YouTube channel, you're going to see a young, thin, handsome guy, pre-kids or just young kids. And I had less gray hairs then. So I'm going to say 12 years, Frank, but it was probably longer.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Michael, thanks for putting this on. Go check out, I put it in the chat, freeluxurybook.com, right, Mike?
That's correct.
Rick, Sandra, thank you. If you guys are interested more about Vyral, check out viralmarketing.com. We'll have the replay up.
Hey, I got to give a shout out real quick. I got Frank Azami. Frank, you're jumping in at the end, so I don't have much time with you. But chapter 3, Frank Azami, say hello. This guy is Sotheby's. He screams luxury. Get to know this guy. Scottsdale referrals. He is the man. He's chapter 3 in the book. Frank, we're on the tail end. Frank Azami, we're on the tail end of the training, but I got to give you some love because you are a rock star.
Thank you. You guys are. You know, it just takes all of us to bring it home, and I appreciate the opportunity. I apologize. I thought my timing was a little off today, so don't
worry about it. You're here.
I will look for your video. How's that?
Yeah, no, you are here, and that's all that matters. I appreciate you. And Frank from Vyral, you know, I so appreciate you and what you're doing for the industry. Keep it up. And if you guys are watching this and you don't know about Vyral, you guys need to know about Vyral. Go to Get Vyral, VYRAL.com, getvyral.com.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. That was a full hour. We'll get the replay out to you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Let everyone get back with their day. Michael,
Thanks, Frank. Peace.
Great.
See you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.